All right. Long time talking Sterling Shepard, so we're going to have to make the David Mayo a little quick. But it's David Mayo, linebacker, inside linebacker for the New York Giants. He's 6'2", 245 pounds. He'll be 27 on the 8th of August, a 27-year-old season. He was picked in the 5th round with the 169th overall pick for the Carolina Panthers by ours truly, David Gettleman. Justin, we traded B.J. Goodson last year, and, it was kind of known that B.J. Goodson just wasn't going to be a part of the team. And we signed David Mayo to be the four-string linebacker. That's what David Mayo was best at. I mean, we had Alec Ogletree, Tay Davis was the starter week 1, and Ryan Connolly jumped in as the starter week 2, but he was the fourth guy. And that was going to be his role, and I don't think anyone complained about it. Justin, with Tay Davis being waived, Alec Ogletree missing a couple games, and Ryan Connolly tearing his ACL, David Mayo started 13 games, played 57% of the snaps as the starter compared to his career high of 14%. Justin, he re-signed with the Giants on a 3-year, $8.4 million deal, but it's really a 1-year deal because there is zero dead money after the first year. So David Mayo comes into year 2020 battling for a starting spot for the New York Giants.
He does?
Battling. He's battling.
Oh,
Let the man
boy.
battle.
Oh, I love it. All right, well, my little fun fact, you probably didn't know this about David Mayo, is he went to St. Helens High School in Oregon as a freshman. Now, if I did my math correctly, he only went there as a freshman. Mayo should have been a student at the school while the movie Twilight was being filmed, so I'm sure that had a very significant part on his life.
He looks like a guy who would be in Twilight.
He does, kind of like the hair. I think he has something funky thing going on with his hair.
It's
with
like nice, really nice blonde hair.
Yeah, so pale. Mm-hmm. See, so we're making connections.
He looks like his last name.
Maybe he was an extra. Oh, mayonnaise, nice. But he only went to St. Helens as a freshman, like I said, but he graduated from Scappoose High School in Scappoose, Oregon. And I love the meaning of the word Scappoose because it's of Native American origin, and it means gravely plain, much like David Mayo as a football player.
That's funny. And his last name is Mayo too. That's pretty funny. That's we're early in, but that was a good fun fact about David Mayo.
Yeah.
All right, Justin. Like I said, he played 57% of the snaps, started 13 games. He had 82 tackles, 5 tackles for a loss, and 2 sacks. Justin, I've been kind of harsh on David Mayo. I rewatched some games of film and remembered that, you know what, Bobby? It's probably PFF saying he's like a top run defender that makes me hate him so much. I don't hate him, though. It's just I hate that people say he's a great run defender.
Said it to you during the positional review. If PFF and this is a little much. This is a little much. Like I'm usually like maybe play devil's advocate or let's see the other side of what somebody's saying, especially if they back things off of data. And if you're looking at me in video, I'm doing air quotes right now. But they did call David Mayo like the second best run defender in the NFL in 2019. They gave him like a 90 Pro Football Focus grade for his run defense. So, Bobby, I'm serious. And this is going to be my whole thing about David Mayo. Like, I don't hate David Mayo, and I don't understand. You were raging David Mayo, like anti-David Mayo slander last year.
Well, he wasn't very good.
If it wasn't for that, though, you would realize that David Mayo, for his role on the team, is just fine. And it kind of like more than fine.
He is. For a guy who was four-string and he really played 0 time in Carolina. He was a special teams player.
And also, no training camp. You got no training camp, no preseason
he had it
with
us.
us.
Training camp with the Panthers, but I get what you're saying. It's just it was the people saying he's a great run defender, and he's just kind of an adequate run defender. Like he's not a great open field tackler. But he does wrap up, you know what I'm saying? But he does. Yeah. He's not going to drive anybody back. Like I was watching a play today against the Cowboys, and he has like contain, and he plays it very wide. If he would have just cut it in a little more, he could have phased Zeke head up and made it maybe a 2-yard run, and it ended up being a 5-yard run because he got him from the side. So stuff like that. But it was his first year starting, so his instincts, I can't expect him to be amazing. When he was allowed to play aggressive, he actually was pretty well. Like he was a decent blitzer. He had a couple sacks and some, pressures and stuff like that. And when he was paired with Ryan Connolly against the Redskins and a little bit with the Vikings, I thought that's when he looked his best, is because he was following that aggressive lead. Connolly, his best game was the Patriots game, but that was more so the Patriots for some reason decided to just run right into the heart of our defense, which didn't make much sense, and they weren't passing the ball, and when they were, it was out of tight formations. So they kind of played into our strengths for that game, but that was his best game. He had a sack in that game. He played really well in that game. So when the offense is coming after him, and he could play behind those big hog mollies up front.
When he's going downhill, Bobby, like it's a sight to see. If you watch that Patriots game and if you watch that Washington game, hey, I don't blame PFF if that's the only two game tapes that you're going to show me of David Mayo. Yeah, sign me up for David Mayo being one of the best run defenders, but that's just not true.
Right.
There's more than those two games.
He struggles in coverage. I will say, watching him next to Ogletree made him look a little bit better in coverage. He there was times where he did turn his zone into man, and that's something you'll probably hear us hit on all year talking about linebackers. And that's when you're in zone to, you hit your zone, but then find somebody and cover him. Don't just sit and let people find holes in the zone. And so there was a few times when he did that, but they also took him off the field on third downs, and they'd bring that third safety in. And I think that will be, even if he is the number 2 inside linebacker, I think that will continue to go forward, especially with what we like, we hear versatility. But when he is on the field on third down, I would expect him. Patrick Graham likes to put 2 linebackers in the A gap and blitz. That's where I would see his role probably if he is on the field on third down. He like the Patriots game, he had a nice 4th down stop. So he made some plays. Justin, where he ran into trouble is on these outside zone stretch plays or like zone plays. He had a hard time. Like, he just got sealed. If a guard was going to block him, if they wanted to get outside shoulder on him, they got it. If they wanted to get inside shoulder, that's where they got it. And that's where teams like the Cardinals, the Vikings, and the Cowboys, that's where they made their money on us, because you could just seal those guys and get to the edge. And, I mean, it was frustrating. We saw Chase Edmonds run all over us like that.
Yeah, but when he's not touched, I guess this is the other side of it, Bobby. When he's not touched and all he has to do is run downhill and find the ball carrier. You talked about his form tackling, and that's my favorite part about David Mayo's game. And this is a personal bias. If you're a good form tackler, you could do a lot of other bad things, but that's one of the things as like a football fan, I just get so excited when I see good form tackling, because that's not something that you see much anymore. And I sound like an old man.
But he doesn't square up with guys. Like a lot of, arm
debatable.
tackling. So I think speed is his biggest issue. Now let's talk expectations. We'll be quick with it. My expectation or my hope for David Mayo would to be the 3rd inside linebacker. I'm a big believer in Ryan Connolly. Obviously, Blake Martinez is going to start. And then David Mayo could be that 3rd guy. And you could even rotate him in with Connolly. Like, we don't, I love Connolly. I don't know how he's going to look back coming from the ACL. I think what his contract looks like and what he was brought in, I think that's what his role should be. Even though he started 13 games, to be the backup inside linebacker. And Justin, inside linebacker is a position where if you are a backup, you will play important minutes. So he's going to play important minutes for this Giants team if he stays injury-free.
Yeah, along with the 60% of defensive snaps in 2019, he also played 70% of the special team snaps as well. And every single year, no matter where he's been on the depth chart since he's been a pro, I believe he's logged more than 70% of the special team snaps. So he's going to be there. That's like a definite number one. And in terms of his actual performance on the defense, no matter if he comes in because of an injury or if he's just coming in every once in a while because it's situationally, because it's first down, second down, just don't be a liability. That's kind of like my expectation for David Mayo. I don't think he's going to be a liability in any way, because I don't think he was last year. He wasn't a liability, especially also considering the expectations that we had from him. We literally signed him off the street, just in the middle of the early part of the 2019 season. So with our expectations, like he fit that kind of perfectly, because I wasn't expecting anything. If anything, he was a pleasant surprise. So
yeah, just don't tell me he's a great run defender. Just don't tell me that, and I'm happy with David Mayo.
He's a good run defender.
He's an adequate run defender. I don't even want to say good. He's adequate. All right. That's an episode PPP. We'll see you tomorrow. Until then, let's go Big Blue.